Welcome to TNT Sports Talk. Today is Tuesday, July 24th. As always, we are presented by D's Home Cuts. I'm your host, Travis Karcheski, joined by my other host, Truman Karcheski.
How's it going, guys?
And we are welcomed again in studio today by Nate Maier.
What's up, guys? Happy to be back.
Yeah, he was on early, episode 8 or 9 or something. We thought we'd bring him back on, talk a little sports here. We're going to start with football. We're going to keep, going here. Training camp is opening up soon, so we're going to hopefully, knock out these teams pretty quickly. We're going to do the Cowboys and the Giants today. A little off-season review, predictions for the upcoming season. So we're going to start with the Cowboys. Went 9-7 last year. Kind of an underperforming year. They were dealing with the whole, Ezekiel Elliott, is he suspended, is he not suspended type of thing. They added some pretty solid talent on the outside with Allen Hurns and Tavon Austin. Those are going to help, replace, the Dez Bryant and the Jason Wittens, two big key pieces that were there for a long time, and now they are gone. But then they had a pretty solid draft. They took, how do you pronounce his name? Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker out of Boise State. They took Connor Williams, the offensive lineman out of Texas. And then they took Michael Gallup, who's a pretty interesting prospect, wide receiver from Colorado State, I believe. So this team, they added a lot over this offseason. They added some talent. Allen Hurns is a guy I wanted the Packers to get. He has a lot of talent. But I think it's going to come down to, how is Dak Prescott going to perform? Is he going to be, down like he was last year, or is he going to have another repeat performance of his rookie year? That's a huge key. This defense is pretty solid. They have some pretty good pieces. Sean Lee's a Hall of Famer. DeMarcus Lawrence had a great year last year. What are you looking at me like that?
Sean Lee's a Hall of Famer?
He's a Hall of Famer. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
What the hell?
This offensive line is still pretty good. They got a lot of good pieces, but we'll see. Truman, I'll get your take on this. What do you think the Cowboys do this year?
Yeah, I mean, I like the addition of Allen Hurns, but I don't think Allen Hurns is a number one wide receiver. They lost Dez Bryant, which was probably one of the biggest storylines of the offseason, because Dez Bryant was, a couple years ago, one of the top 5 receivers in the league. But he just wasn't what he used to be last season, so they got rid of him, saved some money. But now you look at the wide receiver core, it's kind of bleak. And I don't know, Dak Prescott, he did have a step back last season, but this next season for him, it's going to be kind of like the all-in year to see if he's really going to be the franchise quarterback. And giving him less weapons and less, Jason Witten, Dez Bryant, they're not there anymore. Giving him less weapons to throw to, I don't know if that's going to help him at all. Now, he's got Ezekiel Elliott back, he's one of the best running backs in the league, and that will obviously help him. Their offensive line is still top tier, and their defense is decent. It's not, anything that's going to help them out a lot, but it can win them some games. So I think it all comes down to Dak Prescott, like you said, and I don't know how he's going to improve, which he has to, without any of his weapons still there.
Yeah, the sophomore slump from Dak Prescott, it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this year. I like Dak. I think he's going to come back stronger. I think he's going to do better than his rookie season. I think he's got to prove everyone wrong. Mm-hmm. Zeke Elliott, obviously, that's a lot of talk about that. I hope he doesn't get suspended. He's one of my favorite players in the NFL, obviously. A Buckeye. So yeah, I'm big on him.
It's gonna be interesting to see. I know they lost, like I said, Dez, and Jason Witten was a staple there for a long time. It's gonna be interesting to see how they replace Witten in that offense. But I really like the addition of Tavon Austin. I think he's a guy who's been kind of underutilized throughout his whole career, especially in the Rams system. He was deadly coming out of West Virginia, one of the best receivers in the country. I know his highlight tape is so fun to watch from West Virginia. I think he's a guy who has a lot left in the tank. He has been very underutilized, and we'll see what happens, how they use him in the system. But I think he could be a guy who really helps their offense.
I think, yeah, you're right. A change of scenery could help him, and the Cowboys can, use him a lot more. But I feel like the Rams, Sean McVay, he turned out to be one of the best offensive minds in football last year. And the fact that they couldn't find a spot for him or use him kind of proves to me that he might not be...
Yeah, he had 1 year with Sean McVay.
Yeah, that's true. But he hasn't showed anything. But I think a change of scenery to Dallas will help him. Dallas didn't give up much for him. I think it was a 6th-round pick. So I think...
Switzer.
Oh, they gave up that little...
Yeah.
Okay. But I think that was a good trade for the Cowboys because you're right, Tavon Austin does have a lot of potential, but I don't think that that's going to impact, and I think their receiving core is still really, really bleak.
And then you got, they're playing this division with the Eagles, and I think the Giants are going to be better. We'll talk about them. I think they go maybe 8-8, 500. I don't think this defense is good enough to combat, an offense like, the Eagles or now with the Giants. So I think 8-8 is a pretty solid record. Hopefully Dak, performs better, but if he doesn't, I think 8-8 is where they'll stand.
I think it's 7-9, and I think this year they finally fired Jason Garrett.
Oh wow!
And I think Dak Prescott still proves to be a pretty good quarterback. I don't think he takes a huge step forward, but I think they go 7-9, and they fire Jason Garrett, and they finally get someone in there who can help them out and utilize Dak and Ezekiel Elliott the way they should be.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I say 8-8, 7-9 is where they'll probably end up. The Jason Garrett, I kind of agree too because I think he's been blessed with talent on his team the past couple of years, and this will be a real test to see how he can do with not as much talent as usual. So.
Okay, so moving now to the other team in the NFC East, the Giants, 3-13 last year. I think we all can agree it was a shit show most of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, you had McAdoo benching Eli Manning. You had Odell getting hurt. Brandon Marshall was hurt. Eli Apple was causing problems. But I think they did a pretty good job this offseason of kind of clearing all that out. They got new head coach Pat Shurmur, who I really like Pat Shurmur. I know, he kind of has a negative review because of the Browns, but, I mean, that's the Browns. You can't really blame a guy for what happened there. But they did add a lot of talent, I think. They added Jonathan Stewart. He's going to help the rookie running back, Saquon Barkley. They added Nate Solder. He's going to really shore up that offensive line. And they added Will Hernandez in the draft, who was he's probably a first-round pick, but he fell to them in the second round, which is huge. Then they added Alec Ogletree. They traded for him from the Rams. He's going to anchor that defense, bring a veteran presence. The only guy they really lost was Brandon Marshall, which is, not really. I get he's a big talent, but it's not a huge loss in terms of production. Yeah. But this team does have talent. Odell, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL when healthy. Eli Manning is a solid quarterback. They got a huge flash of talent from Evan Ingram last year, the tight end out of Ole Miss, I believe. And then Saquon Barkley, number 2 overall, one of the best prospects coming out of the draft in the last couple of years. He's going to be that workhorse. They've been looking for a workhorse running back, for a long time. They've always done the 2 running back system, but hopefully Saquon will be that workhorse that they can really rely on, and I think that's going to be huge for them.
Yeah, I just think the talent on the Giants offense is just unbelievable. And I think it all rests down, just like the Cowboys when it rests on Dak's shoulders, I think it all rests on Eli's shoulders with the Giants. Because Eli is one of the most inconsistent players in, I think, not only NFL, like sports. I think he's either really good and looks like he's, a top 10 quarterback, or he looks like he's just absolutely terrible and shouldn't have a job anywhere. But I don't know how you don't perform well with Odell, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and now Saquon Barkley behind you. So it's going to all rest on Eli's shoulders. If he can be more consistent, if he can go back to kind of that old Eli, that 2011, 2007 Eli when they won the Super Bowl, I think the Giants got a real shot at contending this year. Pat Shurmur, I think he's a great coach. I thought he did good with the Browns when he was there, but it's hard to do good with the Browns. But what he did with the Vikings offense last year, I think he's a big credit to what Case Keenum did, and the reason he's got a nice little contract down in Denver now. And then you look at the defense. I love the safety Landon Collins. He's one of the better safeties, if not the best safety in the league. So he shores up that secondary very good. Their secondary, when healthy, is very good as well. If they can just, they're a decent defense. If they can get a pass rush and stop the run, they'll be very good and, enough to be consistent enough to win some football games for the Giants. But this offense is just too talented to look past. And if everything stays healthy, if Odell comes back and is Odell again, and Sterling Shepard can take a step forward, Evan Ingram can take a step forward, and Saquon Barkley is everything the Giants expect him to be, the Giants are going to be back in Super Bowl contention.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think if the Giants don't do better than 8-8, 500, then it all rests on Eli because the offense is way too talented. Saquon is an absolute stud. I think he's gonna have a break. He's gonna have an amazing rookie season, basically like when Zeke came into the league. He had a great season. I think Saquon's probably gonna do that, maybe better. Eli's got to step it up. Last year he was benched. He's that franchise quarterback, and he can't do bad. It's just not good for the team.
Yeah, and I know you both said it both rests on Eli's shoulders, but I think that's been a problem for the last couple of years. The whole offense has been resting on Eli's shoulders. This year they got a running game now. I think Jonathan Stewart, adding him to be the backup behind Saquon is huge. Jonathan Stewart's been that guy. He's always been a twin in terms of backing up a running back. He's going to be huge. They added I think Will Hernandez is a really good offensive lineman. Then they added Nate Solder, who's a solid piece. That offensive line's been a problem the last couple of years, and Eli's had to deal with the whole offense runs through him. He's got to pass the ball, and he's dealing with a crappy offensive line and no run game. But this year, over the offseason, that offensive line's good now. I think it's pretty solid. They got a good running game, and now obviously Eli's going to be healthy. Odell's going to be healthy. So I think this team will do better. I think they'll be 7-9 right there with the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to be Super Bowl contending right away. This defense is a little shaky. So I think 7-9, 8-8 is a solid record for them.
I'm going to go 11-5. I really like the Giants. I really like Pat Shurmur. It all depends on Eli. If Eli sucks, they're going 6-10, 5-11. If Eli's good, they're going 11-5. So I'm going to bank on Eli right now, and I'm going to go 11-5. I'm going to kind of high roll him and hype him up a little bit, but I really like the Giants, and I think they can, compete with the Eagles for that division, top of the division.
I think a good season from the Giants this year would probably be 10-6. If Eli doesn't perform like he used to, they could drop all the way down to 5. 5 wins, 6 wins. So hopefully Eli can perform for them.
Yeah, this is a scary team because they got a pretty high ceiling, I think, in terms of talent, but not really expected much from them. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they'll be a Super Bowl contender, but I think they'll be right there, wild card hunt, especially with the Eagles. I don't think they're winning that division.
I don't know. I think the Giants got a lot better this offseason.
I think the Eagles will have it no matter what.
I think the Eagles.
The NFC East always has, they switch off.
That's true, but we'll see what happens. Another story coming out of the NFL is Josh Gordon. Apparently he's not going to be showing up to training camp. People aren't sure when he's going to be back. He said he's seeking treatment. Nobody really knows what it is. I guess some sources say it's some sort of mental stress, dealing with anxiety. I think this is from.
Dude's a whack job.
I think it's from he's been staying away from marijuana, and I think he's using marijuana to deal with that stress and anxiety. And now that he doesn't have marijuana to fall back on, he's kind of falling apart here. I'm scared if I'm a Browns fan. I mean, Josh Gordon has been one of the biggest.
I'm confident in Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon has been one of the biggest letdowns if I'm a Browns fan. He has so much talent. And it's just every year he finds some way where they just don't get it onto the field, and that's a problem.
Josh Gordon's top 3 wide receiver in the game when he's playing. And I don't care what anybody says. You can call me out for that. He's better than Odell. He's like Julio, I think. And if he can stay healthy, this is everything for the Browns. I don't know what's up in his mind, but if I'm a Browns fan, as long as he's on the field for week 1, I don't really care I don't really care what he's doing. Because he wasn't around the team for 2 years and he showed up last season and he dominated. As long as he is on the field for week 1 and plays every single week, the Browns will be fine and Josh Gordon will be a top 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't think missing a couple weeks of training camp is going to impact him that much. Like you said, he missed 2 to 3 years of football and came back and kind of went right back into it and dominated. He's been working out like a fiend. Everybody looks at his Instagram. I mean, he's pretty scary to look at. I know me and Truman were at the Packers game in December, and he went out and he was warming up without a shirt on, and he was pretty scary. And he caught a touchdown in that game.
He's
put the
cut
sunglasses
where you
on.
wouldn't think people would be cut at. Like
Yeah.
he's
intimidating.
He's got muscles on muscles.
He's intimidating. But all that, but he's still got problems, mentally. We'll see what happens there. Hopefully, he figures this out. Best of luck to him. But if they don't get him on the field, I don't know what the Browns are going to do. I know he said this is the best receiving core in the league without Josh Gordon. Without Josh Gordon?
Not without Josh. With Josh Gordon, I'd say they're one of the best in the league. I'm not worried at all as a Browns fan. He's got to do whatever he's got to do to get on the field week 1. And if it's not show up to a practice the whole season, then I'm fine with it. Baker Mayfield said he was the best wide receiver he's ever thrown to in his entire life and ever seen in his life. And like you guys said, I mean, he is a beast of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, his workout tapes that he puts on Instagram, he's working out with Jarvis Landry and Odell out on the field. I mean, they are just, whatever he's got to do, whether go to therapy or take some time off, by all means do it, as long as you're on the field and we're winning game 1.
So we have a question that we're going to answer a little bit later, but I figured we'll just bring it up now. If Dez isn't on the field, I mean not Dez, if Josh isn't on the field week 1, should the Browns take a flyer on Dez Bryant?
No.
No?
I don't want him. Even if Josh Gordon's on the field, I don't want him at all. If Josh Gordon's not going to be able to play this season, which I think he is, I'm 99.9% sure Josh Gordon will play
That's pretty confident.
At least 10 out of the 16 games. You know, if he doesn't play, then yeah, sure, Dez, he's probably the best receiver available right now, but I think there's just too much going on with the Dez, and I think we're already set at wide receiver. If you add Dez, there's almost too many options. You don't even know who to throw to. It might cause issues with the team. There might be, beef in the locker room. It's something you don't need. So
I don't think so, because I'm like Nate. Josh Gordon's going to be around, and he's going to be playing in the games. He's going to be in the regular season. And if Dez Bryant gets signed by them, he's definitely he's going to be the number 3 option, because Jarvis Landry is better than him too at this point in his career. And Dez doesn't want that. He doesn't want to go somewhere and be the 3rd option, let alone he doesn't want to be the 2nd option, let alone the number 3 option.
I think, if you sign him and then Josh Gordon, comes back, he's going to be the number 3 option. He wants to be the number 1 guy, and he's just not going to be that in front of.
Dez Bryant also doesn't have the mentality like Jarvis Landry went from the Dolphins to the Browns, and he's so excited. He's excited to be on the Browns, and it's something as a Browns fan that you like to see. I think if you're Dez Bryant and you go from one of the top tier teams like the Cowboys the past couple years, and you go to a team that went 0-16 last year, if the Browns win 6 games, the team's going to be excited. The city's going to be excited. Dez Bryant might say, this is bullshit. Like, I want out of here, and he might be gone, and it might just be a waste of money.
Yeah.
He wants to win. And Browns want to win, but the Browns understand if they win 6 games, it's a good year, and it's building.
Yeah, and Dez Bryant, he wants to win, but he also is going to want money. I don't think the Browns will want to give him money, because if he's going to be the number 3 option, the Browns can't give him a lot of money. So it just doesn't fit, because he's not going to be the number 1 option. He's not going to get money, and he's, like Nate said, he doesn't want to go through a rebuilding year.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Again, best of luck to Josh Gordon. Hope he figures out whatever he has to figure out before the season starts. He's fun to watch when he's healthy and fully ready to go. So hopefully he'll get back, but we'll see what happens. Then our last story out of the NFL, kind of a sad story. Tony Sparano, the Vikings offensive line coach, was the Dolphins head coach for a couple years. He passed away at the age of 56 due to some heart-related issues. This is really sad story. Even though he is a Vikings coach, heart goes out to him. It's really sad. I think he revolutionized
a little far.
I'm not saying I like Tony Sparano. He revolutionized the game when he was with the Dolphins. Doing that Ronnie Brown he invented the Wildcat, which I think every team now has that in their playbook.
Josh Cribbs, one of the best Wildcat.
He changed. You look what he did. He took the 1-15 Dolphins the year before. They started 0-2, and then they went up to New England in that game. And I think everybody kind of remembers that game. They won 38-13, all because Ronnie Brown. He had 4 running touchdowns and a passing touchdown. And Bill Belichick, who usually is on top of all this, he just couldn't stop it. And I think, Tony Sparano started this, and now, like I said, everybody has it in their playbook. And they went 11-5 that year and won the AFC East. So to go from 1-15 to 11-5 and win the AFC East, which is a Patriots dominant division the last couple of years, is insane.
This year. 16-0 this year.
All right,
I think so. You think they're going 16-0?
No, I don't. Be nice
so,
to see.
Like I said, really sad. He was a really well-respected head coach around the league. I really like Tony Sparano. He revolutionized the game. Big football guy. Sad to see, and our heart goes out to the families there.
Yep. I remember him. He's kind of like a mainstay on NFL sidelines. You always see him on a team. But when he was with the Dolphins, he did a good job. When he was with the Raiders, he did a good job as the interim there.
He changed. You don't think about it. He changed the game.
Yeah. And he's one of the best offensive line coaches. The Vikings got a steal when they hired him. But he's a great guy. Like you said, respect goes out to his family.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Wildcat Wildcat really sets defenses back when you're doing a good job, you're stopping them, and all of a sudden they're wide receivers at quarterback.
Yeah.
And then you don't know what to do.
You don't know who to guard. Even it was used in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Nick Foles scored a touchdown and set everyone back. That's one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history. So I mean.
Yeah, there's not many games you remember. Especially Dolphins Patriots matchup and whatever. I forget what year it was, but I just remember that game because I remember Ronnie Brown and Bill Belichick doesn't get stumped a lot. But you could tell in that game he had no answer for that. Ronnie Brown, a guy who's not really known throughout his career, he had 4 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown, and they demolished the Patriots. So that was one of the most legendary games. I think it changed the game. Obviously, because like I said, Nate said, it's in the Super Bowl now. People are running it almost every single game. So it's crazy to see. Sad to see him die at such a young age. But heart goes out to his family. So now moving on, we don't talk a lot of college football because there haven't been a lot of stories, but we're going to start talking a little bit more. So we're going to start it off with our way too early predictions for the Final Four, the playoffs, and this upcoming year. I don't know, do you want to do seeds or you just want to do 4 teams?
Let's do seeds. I'm in for seeds.
All
You
right.
in for seeds, Nate?
I'm always in for seeds.
All right,
Okay.
we'll go number 1. I'll kick it off. I think Ohio State. Number 1
Oh!
seed. I
didn't
think
expect that. out of your mouth.
I think this team is
I like
full
that.
of talent. This
I like
defense,
that.
they didn't lose a ton last year, even though it seems like they did, but they're a factory of talent. Dwayne they should have been a playoff team last year. I think that was clear.
Thank you very much for that.
And
Alabama did not deserve to be
They
here.
did that all with JT Barrett.
Who won the national championship?
Alabama. And if
Okay.
Ohio State was that seed,
And
Ohio
they did
State
this
would've
all with JT Barrett, who I love JT Barrett, but he was a trash quarterback. He could not complete any sort of pass. And now they got Dwayne Haskins running the show there. J.K. Dobbins, who I think is an easy Heisman contender. Best running back in the Big Ten, clearly, last year.
How?
Because he is. And then they got
Who
a
had
lot
more
of...
yards, Jonathan Taylor or him?
Well,
Who's Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah,
Never heard
who's
that name.
Jonathan Taylor?
I've never heard that
Well,
name.
I mean,
You
I'm
don't
pretty
know.
sure in the Big Ten game we shut Jonathan Taylor down.
Big
and
Ten
J.K.
Power
Dobbins.
Rankings came out a couple days ago for this upcoming season, and Ohio State was number 1.
Yeah, so
Great.
it's clear. They're the
Great.
best. They're the best team in the
They're
Big
the
Ten.
best team in the Big Ten, and
Congrats.
And I think it's going to be cool to
top
see
3 in
because
that,
they have
yeah.
Dwayne Haskins this year. The talent at wide receiver has been kind of underplayed because JT Barrett is not the best passer. But Dwayne Haskins has a really good arm, so you're going to be able to see these guys like Paris Campbell, who I think is one of the best receivers in the Big Ten. He's going to step out this year because he's going to finally have somebody who can throw him the ball. So I think Ohio State easily gets that number 1 seed.
For me, I don't really understand how you don't pick Alabama here. Someone give me the quarterback's name.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, from Hawaii.
Kid's just absolutely dominant.
His little brother's a senior in high school and already is a full ride
Yeah.
Alabama.
He's going to Alabama too.
Yeah, maybe he's already there.
Kid's just absolutely dominant. I watched that national championship. I haven't seen an arm like that in all the years I've watched football.
Here's the thing
I
at
haven't seen.
Alabama. I don't have them in my top 4. And I know that's crazy, but they have Jalen Hurts is still there.
I feel bad for
You think
Jalen
he's
Hurts.
just going to give up his position at quarterback? 'Cause I don't think so.
I think the best
Tua-
college football coach of all time is
Tua-
going to look
he's
at the
not.
talent
Tua,
and see Tua and be
Tua,
like,
you're
holy
saying-
crap, this guy's got the best
you're
arm in
saying
college
he's
football
one of the best.
in 10 years.
You're saying Tua is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. We saw one half of
You're
football
calling
for him.
Dwayne Haskins one of the best college football quarterbacks, and the kid
I never
threw
said that.
six
You said
six
that.
passes?
You said Tua is one of the best players in college football.
And you're talking like Dwayne Haskins is too.
I said Dwayne Haskins is a better
I'd say
thrower
Tua's
than
arm
JT.
is one of the best in college
But
football, but yeah, you can't judge.
You
him.
can't judge
Okay,
him
then
based
I
on
can't.
the one.
I will not take your Dwayne Haskins
I didn't
BS.
say Dwayne Haskins.
Okay,
Dwayne Haskins,
because the guy threw 6 passes
when he
against
came in-
Michigan.
when he came in
He
against
didn't
Michigan,
throw.
he dominated.
Oh,
That's all I'm saying.
Tua
And he
went
saved
into the
us for that
national
game.
championship game against one of the best teams in Georgia
Tua's good.
and dominated.
Tua's good.
Okay.
Tua's
I like
good.
Tua, but I'm just saying he got thrown into a game. Georgia had no. He's a completely different.
Now he didn't get thrown into a game. He got thrown in a national championship game.
Yes, and I know.
And he has to step up. He's gonna step up.
And
And if he
but
didn't
Georgia-
step up, he would have gotten taken out 3.
Jalen Hurts and Tua are 2 different players, and Georgia was not prepared to see Tua in that game, and nobody was prepared to see that.
Freshman quarterback went in the game.
Age doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It went
In
into
college,
the game.
especially in
Age
Alabama.
does
Especially
not
in
matter.
Alabama.
Went into, this is like I'm gonna talk Kobe. He went Kobe Bryant. He went freaking iced up in his veins. Went into the game. Nick Saban came up to his
D'Angelo
came
Russell.
up to his halftime in the national championship. Alabama's down. Nick Saban doesn't like losing. Came up to him and said, "You're going in. You're playing quarterback second half."
Now, obviously, it's not the same.
And the man stepped up.
Not the same, but Dwayne Haskins wasn't told he was going in.
He went in against. Dwayne Haskins went in against an 8-4, 7-5 Michigan.
Let me talk real quick. Dwayne Haskins didn't know he was going in. He got thrown into that game. I know it's not even comparable to the national championship, but Ohio State.
As an Ohio State fan,
Michigan,
Ohio State game, the Michigan-Ohio State game is just as big as the national championship.
Yes.
I'd rather win that than win a national championship.
It's a wave. It's not the same level, but it's right there with
Michigan
it.
was 7-5.
It's the best
It doesn't matter.
in college
Michigan was
football.
7-5.
And we were down. I remember we were down when he came in. It's not an easy.
Michigan was
You can't say
7-5.
it was an easy situation for him to go in. He had no warning either. Tua had some warning.
Nick Saban coming up to you at halftime of the national championship game, that's not the greatest warning in the world.
You get some time, though. Dwayne had no time.
You got millions and millions and millions of people watching the game.
You have millions and
And
millions
There's
of people.
just as many people, not just as many,
Okay.
obviously, because it's not worldwide, but that game was watched.
What was
just as
Michigan's
big.
record?
I don't know what their record was. It doesn't
7-5,
really matter because Ohio
8-4?
State won at the end of the day.
7-5,
and they
8-4.
weren't winning before
They weren't
Dwayne Haskins
playing
went
a
in.
Georgia that was absolutely unbelievable.
We aren't even talking about the Final Four. We're just even about Tua.
Okay, but my number one is Alabama. There's no signs pointing to Alabama faltering. I don't know why you.
All right. My number one's Ohio State. Move on.
All right. Well, I'll just last thing. I think the quarterback controversy is going to hurt, but we'll see what happens.
It hasn't hurt Nick Saban in the past.
Well,
He's
he's
had
never
many
had it.
Yes, he has.
It's gonna hurt Jalen Hurts. That's
Yeah,
what it's gonna
Jalen
hurt.
Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Sorry,
he isn't
he's
gonna
a great
Jalen
guy.
Hurts deserved
The
to
way
be
he
starting quarterback, and the fact that he's not going to be starting on Alabama is going to mess with him, and it's going to push him harder, and there's going to be back and forth battle.
Nick Saban's going to pick the more talented guy. Nick Saban doesn't care about your feelings. He doesn't care about Jalen Hurts'
And that's going to hurt him.
And it
how many
eventually
national
hurts your team.
championships has Nick Saban won?
I'm just saying.
I think he knows.
All right, we got to move on. We're going to go, I think number 2, I think Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma a lot. I think Kyler Murray is a really good quarterback. I think he's not as good as Baker.
Player.
Yeah, he's a baseball player. Not as good as Baker, but I think he's a lot better runner than Baker. So this team is interesting. They got a lot of talent left over from last year. I think Oklahoma squeaks into the playoffs.
For me, number 2 is going to be Georgia. Georgia's just, they didn't. I love that. I'm blanking on the quarterback's name. From. Yeah. I think he's one of the best. He's the best college football quarterback going into this season. You can talk up Haskins, I can talk up Tua, but Fromm is the most proven guy. He's gonna be the best quarterback. When he goes into the draft, he's gonna be the best quarterback in the draft. He's just very NFL ready. He looks very comfortable, and the pieces around him. Georgia had one of the best recruiting classes, and they just keep getting better and better. I know they lost the running back combo, and that's going to hurt. They got a young team, but I think Georgia, I love Kirby Smart and what he's doing, and I think they're going to turn into one of the bigger powerhouses in college football.
I'm going to go Alabama. I haven't said them yet, and obviously they're always there. So I'll just throw them in there at number 2. I don't even want to talk about that.
Then we'll go number 3. I think Georgia, like all things Sherman said, I like Jake Fromm a lot. Most proven quarterback, probably most experienced. And I like Kirby Smart. So Georgia, number 3.
Me, number 3, I'm going Ohio State.
So say it again, slower too.
I'm going Ohio State at 3. Listen, it's Ohio State. Urban Meyer's one of the better coaches in college football.
The best.
And they've got a bunch of talent. I don't see them winning the national championship, but they'll be in it this year.
I'll go Georgia. I like Fromm as well. They were there last year, and I think they deserved it last year. So I think they're going to have that chip on their shoulder.
All right, and number 4, I'm going Clemson. I think Clemson, they have a very good defensive line, full of top, first-round picks. And
quarterbacks are interesting, too.
Yeah, and I really like Dabo Swinney. I think he is one of the best head coaches in college football. So Clemson, number 4.
Number 4 for me.
There's
a team up in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm going to go Wisconsin at number 4. I think this is the year they finally get over the hump. They've been 5-6 seed the past few years. And it's getting kind of annoying. So I think this is the year they finally...
Because they can't run with the big dogs.
They take the next step. They have the best offensive line in college football, and that's undisputed. No one can disagree with that. They've got a running back who was in Heisman contention for most of the year last year. They've got receivers who I like. Quintez Cephas is going to come back healthy. And then the quarterback, Alex Hornibrook.
Is trash.
He's going to be entering his junior year. He's got 2 years of pretty much starting under his belt. He's played in some really big games.
How do you do in those 2 years?
Talented crappy quarterback.
Against some talented teams. And I think this is the year that he takes the next step. And then no one can disagree. Wisconsin's defense is always good. And Paul Chryst, he's one of the better head coaches in the college football as well. So I'm going to go Wisconsin at 4, which would leave me with 2 SEC and 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four.
I'll go Oklahoma at 4. What is it? Murray. A lot of talk about him. Didn't he say he's only playing 1 season in college football?
Yeah, he's only going to play this year.
Yeah, so I think he's got to show out, prove that he can play both football and baseball. I think they're going to do good, be back to where they were last year.
Yeah, so now moving on, I'm not even going to respond to the stupidness that is Truman, but we're going to move on to our next college football. What are some of the toughest places?
Did you just call Sean Lee a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Toughest places to play in college football. No really list here. Mine is just kind of random order. I'll start. I think Penn State, pretty tough to play.
Definitely.
Especially at a night game in Happy Valley.
Whiteout.
Yeah, I'll admit it's scary. And I think
you get the chills just watching it on TV. I can't imagine being at the stadium.
Yeah, another one's Texas A&M. You just see they always, even in the afternoon game, they just absolutely go nuts down in Texas A&M, especially when Johnny Manziel was there. He got the crowd absolutely rocking. I think Texas A&M is one of the toughest places to play in sports.
I think it honestly depends on the team. If you have, a breakout quarterback like Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel, it's going to be harder to play at that stadium.
Because they just get the crowd absolutely.
I'll obviously say Ohio State. I think if you're playing in Columbus, in the Horseshoe, at a night game, blackout when we played Penn State a couple years ago, it's just, I feel like when Ohio State plays at Penn State's got the edge. When Ohio State plays home against Penn State, Ohio State has the edge. So.
Yeah, another one, I mean, Wisconsin, Camp Randall, Wisconsin, a night game at Camp Randall against a really good team. It's always tough to play. They have one of the best traditions in sports and jump around, and they get the whole stadium rocking at the end of the third quarter, which is one of the coolest traditions. Just Wisconsin fans in general, not to be biased. Travis, I know you're like on and off because you're a Packers fan too, but they travel really well. So Wisconsin always has a good traveling fan base, but I think Camp Randall is a really tough place to play.
Ohio State's very good at traveling.
Yeah. Ohio State's very good too.
Iowa, last year Ohio State played Iowa.
Iowa's sneaky tough to play.
Big Ten teams, it's pretty tough to play.
They started that children's hospital thing last year, and it gets the crowd going crazy. Everyone loves that. I think it's tough to play there.
A couple other places.
You can tell by Ohio State's game last year, which is really the reason why they didn't make the.
Yeah.
If they would have won that game,
A couple other places, I think, Florida State. The chop thing, that's pretty scary.
Clemson's very.
Clemson, they would do
the color orange is just kind of intimidating.
So I have Virginia Tech. I had 2. They have a pretty good entrance, Virginia Tech, and then obviously Alabama. They have to have some sort of home field advantage. They always do. So there's that. Now we're gonna move on to baseball. But before that, I wanted to remind you that our show is brought to you by A's Lawn Service. Since 2014, A's has been providing professional landscaping to many homes around Northeast Ohio. By using professional equipment, A's constantly strives to provide families with the best possible landscaping at a low and fair price. Are you tired of being dragged around by bigger landscaping companies?
Oh,
Nate?
My goodness, yes, sir.
Turn to A's, and trust me, your lawn and your home will never look better. The phone number is 330-241-2392. Again, 330-241-2392. And the email is lawnservice.a's@gmail.com. A's Lawn Service, LLC. You grow it, we cut it. So baseball, we got a couple smaller storylines just want to touch upon. Noah Syndergaard, he's on the DL right now with hand, foot, and mouth disease, which is a pretty interesting thing. It's just funny because the Mets are it's just a trash shoot right now, the Mets. These guys, the 2 probably best pitchers, I think, in the game, Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom, every year they find some way to get injured or some sort of disease, I guess, now.
Cut the hair.
Yeah.
Something to do with the hair. It's got to be.
It's a mess. I mean, hand, foot, and mouth disease is like for kids. Kids get that, like babies, and now he has it, and he's going to miss 2 starts. And, I mean, that's just insane to me. Another story we have is Tim Tebow. He broke his hand, I guess. He's done for the season. I guess he had a pretty good shot at getting called up in September because the Mets, like I said, are a trash shoot, and they're just kind of throwing anything at the wall right now and hoping that it sticks. Tim Tebow, he had a pretty good last couple of months. I know when we saw him, he struck out like 4 times when we saw him in Akron. But he's batting .273. He was an all-star. I think they said he was batting like .340 in July. So it sucks to see him, get injured like this. But he's coming around. I know a lot of people hate on Tim Tebow for some reason, but he's getting better at baseball. And you've seen that. I think he would have been called up to AAA here soon. And come September, I think he was a pretty good, solid chance at getting called up to the majors. It's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. Obviously, this puts, kind of stretches the timeline, but he is going to get called up to the majors sometime soon. I think maybe next year.
I mean, it's good to see that he's playing good.
Well, not anymore.
Well, I mean, his stats. But, I just don't. He's in AA, right? AA. It's going to be interesting to see when he gets called AAA and how he does, and just follow up his levels here. It's still too early to say he'll get called up.
He's getting better.
He's getting better, but this is a setback, this injury.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's Tim Tebow. It's a cool story to follow. I'm still skeptical to see if he'll get to the majors. I think the Mets will do it eventually just to get the ratings and everyone to watch it, but I don't think it'll be talent-based.
Yeah. Tim Tebow, you either love him or you hate him. He's always talked about, even if he doesn't get called up to the majors in his career, he'll always be on ESPN, he'll always be, talked about. So, I mean, Tim Tebow is loved by many. So.
Yeah, and I think if there's any guy who can kind of come back from this type of injury, it's Tim Tebow. I think he's getting a lot better. I don't know if he's going to be a good outfielder when he reaches the majors, because he will reach the majors. I'm just going to say it right now.
Do you think he'll reach the majors based on talent or just based on ratings?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, he batted .273. He was under 200 when we saw him, and now he rose that.
We'll see what he does in AAA.
I don't think he'll be there long if he does reach the majors.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be like a consistent outfielder.
I don't know. He's surprised a lot of people before. I mean, we'll see what happens.
All right.
Last baseball storyline, we talked about it. Truman, obviously, like we said, he ditched last week. He didn't want to talk about, Josh Hader and the Brewers' troubles. But now we got him in studio today. And they gave him, Brewer fans, they gave this guy a standing ovation, hand clap standing ovation. And I want to ask you, why? Why did they do that?
People make mistakes. Are you perfect?
No.
You're not. Nate, are you?
No.
I am not. And the crap he's been taking for the stuff he said when he was a teenager and a young kid in 2011 is just absolutely kind of ridiculous in my mind.
I hate that. I hate when stuff comes. It's only happened in the past couple of years when stuff comes out. Draft day, or he's already doing great in his career. Stuff comes out.
Some people lose millions over that on draft day.
Yeah, it's just. Laramie Tunsil.
That was great.
He's one of the great examples. I mean,
he's another one.
Draft day, 2 minutes before the draft starts. This video's all over the internet, all over TV, and he went from a top,
5-time pick. He went to
the
teens and 20s.
Teens. I mean, he, that messed him up. He's doing good in his career, though. No one
but
talks about
that's just another example, though. Like, it's just like. Their career and their reputation gets ruined, and I understand those tweets were bad. They were horrible.
Terrible.
But those were in 2011, and he came out and he said, "Listen, this is not how I think. This was horrible. This was me when I was a young idiot." And he cried to his teammates. He said, "This is not how I think. I really, really apologize for it." And, people are going to hate him wherever he goes. He's going to go to different ballparks. He's going to go to away teams. And he's going to get booed. And he's going to get hated on for the rest of his career. And, maybe he should. Those tweets were bad. But he went out and apologized. His teammates support him completely. They're behind him 100%. And, the Brewers and their fans, they're showing that they accept his apology. And, he's one of ours. He's a Milwaukee Brewer. And he's one of the best pitchers in the league. And that's what we're going to see him as, and a great person, because that's who he is now. We're not going to disown him because of tweets from 2011.
Okay. I just don't think he deserves a standing ovation. Standing ovations are for people who do incredible things and do, great things or come back from injury or something. He sent out a bunch of racist tweets and then he apologized for it.
From 2011.
But he apologized and then he gets he should have apologized. Why should he get accepted in a clap because
no one else is accepting his apology, and he's going to be hated wherever he goes for the rest of his career. And the Brewers are showing him, the team's behind him, everyone's behind him now, and the Brewers fans wanted to show him that, hey, we're behind you too.
And this is another thing. This may not relate. You said if a guy makes a mistake a couple years ago and he apologizes, we should move on, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it multiple times. This is a little bit off topic. You've said it multiple times in the show that Tiger Woods is a terrible person and nobody should like him. He's a terrible guy. But he's apologized. There haven't been any reports of what he's done. Why do you hate him still? You make fun of Ezekiel Elliott all the time.
He's apologized. Do you like Zeke Elliott?
Yeah.
I hate Ezekiel Elliott because he's an Ohio State player.
You say all the time, oh, he's a Ohio State player.
Okay, just flip it over. You're going to hold grudges on Josh Hader, but you defend Ezekiel Elliott and you defend Tiger Woods.
I'm not holding a grudge, but I don't think I'd give this guy a standing ovation.
Wait, but you literally you gave me an example, and I'll admit I don't like Tiger Woods and stuff because.
But he's apologized.
Personal reasons.
I don't like Josh Hader.
Okay, but you go out and defend, and you're gonna hold grudges on Josh Hader because he's a Milwaukee Brewer player, and you don't like the Brewers for some reason, and I don't like Ezekiel Elliott because I don't like him because he's an Ohio State player. So you're gonna hold a grudge on him, and I'm gonna hold a grudge on Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, but the thing is, grudges are different, but. To give a guy who did something wrong and then he apologized, which he should have done, and I'm glad he did. And obviously he's not gonna go out there and say like, oh yeah, I don't like black people. That's why I tweeted those things. But why would the Brewer fans give him a standing ovation for doing something he should have done?
What do you think was going on in the past week in Josh Hader's mind?
Like, oh shit, I got caught.
No, I think it was more of every single person hates me. I think that's why he went out in front of his teammates and cried his eyes out. And I think for the past weeks we've seen, we've seen an absolutely emotional person, and Brewer fans are showing him, hey, you made a mistake, we're gonna accept your apology and we're gonna move on.
Did he cry though because he tweeted those things, or did he cry because he got caught?
I think he cried because he tweeted those things and all of his friends on.
If he really cared much about tweeting those things, why didn't he delete them before they came out?
Because I don't remember what I tweeted from.
But you're a professional athlete. You see stories like Laramie Tunsil. You see, Dante DiVincenzo came out during the national championship game. I think I would go through and I'd scrub my entire Twitter. But he didn't do that. They were out there to find.
Yeah, I would also do that.
I would do.
Why are you giving this guy a standing ovation though? That doesn't make sense.
Because I think he deserves to see that his entire fan base still loves him and still supports him for the guy he is, because he's not the type of person he was in 2011. And they should do that.
They should support him, but they shouldn't give this guy, oh, don't worry, feel bad for you.
He has probably thought for the past week that Brewer fans hate me, my teammates hate me, the entire world hates me.
Because he made a mistake, though, and he has to own up to it, and he did.
He did,
like I said.
And Brewer fans are showing him, hey, you made a mistake. They're not saying, hey, we support your tweets.
That's what a standing ovation means, though, is you support the guy.
We do support the guy because he owned up to his mistakes. I think it takes more of a man to own up to your mistakes and go in front of your teammates and cry your eyes out.
But what's he gonna do though? What's the alternative to that? It would ruin his career if he didn't apologize, if he didn't go to his teammates. He has to do that stuff because that's what we've seen. Guys in the past, when they make mistakes, they do all that stuff. Yes, he does.
He doesn't have to.
He's gonna get suspended.
If he truly believed in what he was tweeting, I don't think he would have shown that much.
If he truly didn't believe in what he was tweeting, why didn't he delete it?
Travis, you're asking someone.
Or why did he jump ahead of this story instead of waiting to get caught?
You're asking someone who to find tweets from. And listen, he should have done it. He should have deleted those tweets. Anybody agrees that he should have deleted those tweets. But that's not the issue over this. It's not that he didn't go back to 2011 and find tweets that he sent out.
No, and the issue of this is not that he did it. I'm glad he apologized. I'm glad he owned up to it. The issue is Brewer fans saying it's okay, it's not that big of a deal.
No, yeah, I think it's. Zeke Elliott comes back from suspension. Dallas, he's playing a home game. Everyone's going to start cheering when Zeke Elliott runs out on the field. Yeah. Josh Gordon comes back from suspension. Everyone's going to start cheering. I think it's just.
I just don't think
the Brewers are happy that he's still playing and he's getting past it.
Yeah, exactly. And
I don't know if it was a standing ovation because
you got to admit there's no way this deserves a standing ovation though.
His
You
apology
can
and
cheer
his
for him.
remorse, yes, it deserves a standing
He
ovation.
should have done those things. Though.
Hey, maybe they were giving him a standing ovation for his inning shutout where he didn't give up a hit.
Congrats. You deleted your tweets and apologized. You did what you're supposed to do.
What? It doesn't have to do that. Does he have to do that?
Yes, he does. Or else he's gonna get cut. His career's gonna be over.
If those are the things he believed in, do you
It's
think he
not a
would've shown
good
that
look for the Milwaukee Brewers fan base to be giving a guy who did a pretty
like
bad
Nate
thing
said,
a
then
standing
why
ovation.
do fans do that all the time?
They cheer. They don't give up and clap and get on their feet. You do that for guys who come back from terrible situations or troops when they're coming home and stuff like that.
Oh
you
my
don't
God.
do that to Josh Hader for
he
tweeting
makes it
racist
like
tweets.
They aren't cheering for his racist tweets.
They're cheering
Get
for
this
the
through
guy.
your big dumb head.
Oh
They're
my
not
gosh.
cheering for his racist tweets. They're cheering for his apology and showing him, hey, we accept your apology and you're still a Brewer and we still love you.
And do that in different ways. Don't get on your feet and
Do not
standing,
twist this into the whole fan base being racist and we love the tweets.
I think
You
probably
just
what
twisted it.
happened was a couple guys stood up, and everybody else was like, okay, well, I guess we got to do this. But it's not the right thing to do in a situation like
I
that.
think it's I think Josh Hader's got his confidence back now that he shows. Oh, the Brewers love me and the fans love me. The teammates are behind me. So you know what, I'm gonna move on.
But
from
now
this
it's all over
bump
national
in the
media.
road.
People,
I don't
questioning
see it.
why the Brewers did, why Brewer fans did.
I'll go on Twitter right now. I don't think it's all over national.
It's all over. We wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't.
No,
but we're gonna move now.
We
We have to move now on to basketball. We're gonna go through this pretty quickly. Two signings, two pretty big signings in the league. Two legends got back onto their teams. We'll start with Carmelo Anthony. Signed a 1-year, $2.4 million vet minimum deal with the Houston Rockets.
Bad news for the Rockets.
This is what's going to happen. He's going to provide instant scoring, offensive scoring. He finally gets to play with one of his best friends, Chris Paul. And now you got a new big three. Chris Paul, James Harden, Carmelo Anthony.
Remember when the Thunder had a big three last year?
Yeah, Russ is a cancer to play with, though. So,
Carmelo might be.
You look at this team. Chris Paul,
might
James
be,
Harden, Carmelo Anthony, Eric Gordon, P.J. Tucker. The names go on and on. How does this team not beat the Warriors? I mean, that's all I'm saying.
How does this team not beat the Warriors? Steph
Because
Curry's better than Chris Paul.
I think that they took a step back from what they were last year, and I think the Warriors will sweep them this year.
Melo's gotten a good system now. Going to provide some instant offensive scoring. I think this team gets better.
Who's guarding Kevin Durant?
Melo has not been
Melo's
the big talk Melo since he was on the Nuggets.
Nate.
In his first year.
Nate, you answer. Who's guarding Kevin Durant on the Rockets?
Nobody's guarding.
No one's guarding Kevin.
All right,
Durant.
we got to move on. We could argue about this all day, and I would die defending Carmelo Anthony. I would go to ends of the earth to defend this man.
I don't know how people defend Carmelo.
Because he's the most underrated player in
who's
NBA history.
defending
But we got to
Kevin
move
Durant?
now to Dirk Nowitzki. Signed 1 year, $5 million deal with the Mavericks. 21 years with the Mavericks. You got to give that guy credit.
Standing ovation.
In a league of no loyalty, Dirk has been the most consistent, loyal player throughout his whole career. Only won one championship in 21 years. Most guys would leave. He's been kind of underrated. Dallas isn't, LA. It's not a place where you can make huge money. But he's stayed there for 21 years. He's held down his spot on the Mavericks. And, you just got to clap it up for a guy like that.
The best Maverick of all time. I think people need to look at him like this is like what we should be. Like Kevin Durant, if he would have stayed with the Thunder, he could have been like a Dirk Nowitzki to the Thunder. But now he's got that bad rap. Dirk never had that bad rap.
Same with LeBron on the Cavs.
Same with
If he
LeBron
never
on
went
the
to
Cavs.
Miami, he would be up there with Dirk.
So like I said, in a league of no loyalty, we've seen the past couple weeks with DeMar DeRozan and Isaiah Thomas last year. Dirk has been the most consistent, loyal. Dirk and the Mavs has been the most consistent relationship in NBA and in sports almost like Tim Duncan and the Spurs.
Dirk doesn't care about money. He cares about Dallas, and he cares about playing basketball.
And that's very rare in the NBA and in sports today. So glad to see him back. Probably his last year, I'm thinking. Doesn't have much in those knees, but we'll see what happens. Then a story that just came out not even an hour ago. Kevin Love signing back with the Cavs for 4 years, I think. I think this shows he's going to be their leader now. He's going to be, their LeBron. He's going to be their leader. Going to try to lead this team back to, I don't think they're going to go to the championship, but back to playoff form. Hopefully, I think the Cavs are in a lot better position than they were the first time LeBron left.
4-year, $120 million extension.
Yeah, so he got paid to stay. He's going to be their leader now. That Cleveland, that basketball team runs through Kevin Love right now. and I think that's clear.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he can be Minnesota Kevin Love now. Who knows?
Yeah, I like Kevin Love. I'm glad he resigned. A lot of people don't like him, but I think it's just because, LeBron was there, and now Kevin Love is our best player. I think Colin Sexton's going to step up a lot this year, too, but Kevin Love, it's his team now. He's got to take control, and
yeah.
We'll
see what happens.
Like
I think he could step up, be that Minnesota guy, but we'll see. But for now, we're going to move on to a question and answer. But before that, we want to remind you that our show is also brought to you by D's Home Cuts. D's is the best place around Northeast Ohio for a great haircut at a low price. For only $7, D's will provide you with a modern haircut and styling. Every time you go into the shop, you're going to get a professional cut, and they get better every single time because Dom is always upgrading his equipment, so he can give you the best haircut possible. You can find D's Home Cuts on Twitter and Instagram. You can set up appointments directly in his bio. It's really easy, really quick. So give him a call and go get your haircut for only $7. You won't find a cheaper haircut. D's Home Cuts, professional haircuts at a low price. So, got a couple questions and answers. We got to move kind of quickly. We got a couple minutes left here, but one of the questions we got is, we're now training camp starting up. What are some of the NFL coaches that are on the hot seat heading into this year? Truman, you kick it off.
Well, me and Nate stated it earlier.
I got 6 names.
Jason Garrett is for sure.
I don't have him on there, but
I think if they go 7-9 or 8, Jason Garrett's guaranteed out of there. Love him to death, but Mike McCarthy's on the list. The Packers have to take a step into the Super Bowl. They just need to. Hugh Jackson, I think that's obvious.
Yeah.
If the Browns don't take a big step forward, Hugh Jackson needs to just jump into the Atlantic Ocean and go somewhere. He'll be done. Who else? Let's see.
Marvin Lewis.
Marvin Lewis has got to go.
On the hot seat.
Marvin Lewis has got to get out of Cincinnati.
Dirk Cutter.
Yeah, he's guaranteed. If Jameis Winston doesn't take another step forward and the Buccaneers go 5-11, Dirk Cutter's gone.
Here's a name, interesting. Might get a little heat for this. Mike Tomlin. I think the Steelers have been underperforming the last couple of years. Tomlin hasn't been. He's kind of just hype up guy. He's lost that locker room. They've had a lot of problems the past couple of years off the field stuff. I don't think they will. I think he's on the hot seat. I think they got to have a good year this year. Losing to the Jaguars in the playoffs hurt him a lot. So Mike Tomlin on the hot seat.
And then I think another one that's guaranteed is Pete Carroll. If Seattle takes a big step back, which everyone kind of expecting them to.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
They're an interesting team. If they falter like some people expect them to, then I think Pete Carroll's gone and they'll move to a younger route.
Yeah, I want Hugh gone.
Yeah. I got one more name. One more name. I think this is a little interesting. Vance Joseph from the Broncos. They've come a long way from their Super Bowl the last couple of years. They had a lot of talent over this offseason. Case Keenum is going to be Vance Joseph's savior. If he doesn't perform well, I think Vance Joseph's gone. I think John Elway's the huge problem there in Denver, why they haven't been performing the last couple of years. But Vance Joseph would be the scapegoat because they're not going to fire John Elway in Denver. So I could see Vance Joseph getting fired if they start poorly and finish poorly. So we answered the Dez question. Last question. Will Tiger Woods ever win another major? I know we talked about Tiger Woods earlier in the show. He had a pretty good weekend. I know around Sunday at like 12 p.m., 12 noon, I started getting, those tweets that he was winning. He was in first place in Britain at the British Open. He was leading through 11 holes, but then he fell apart.
On that swing, guy yelled.
Yeah.
On his swing.
Yeah. He got pissed off. Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
And he was leading through 11, but as soon as everyone started to tune in, he fell apart. He hit a shot into the crowd. It was just kind of a mess there for the rest of the round.
He hit a shot right on the shore the other day, too. He was very lucky.
I think the British Open was one of his best shots in the past couple of years. I'm glad to see that he stayed healthy and he's still going. I don't think he ever wins another major. I think he'll get 3 to 4 more of these where he's like leading on Sunday, but he ends up blowing it. So I don't think he'll ever win another major, but he's surprised us in the past. We'll see what happens in the future.
I don't follow golf, so I don't know.
I don't follow much either, but I don't think Tiger's
but everyone
the
can
top
agree
guy anymore.
When Tiger is winning, golf's better. Golf's more fun to watch. So now we're going to be moving to the end of our show. We want to thank you to our sponsors, D's Home Cuts and A's Lawn Service. I want to thank you for Nate for coming in today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Got a big scrimmage later versus Lake Catholic. Good luck to that.
Go Bees. Senior season. 69 again. Come out.
We ask that you go into iTunes, give us 5 stars, rate, review, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at TNT Sports Talk 12. Listen to us tomorrow on 12 Ounce from 12 to 1. Find us on YouTube at TNT Sports Talk. That's it for today. Have a great day. Tune in on Thursday. Again, we don't know who the guest is going to be, but we'll find somebody.
Yep. Thank you. Go Packers.
And that's it. Thank you.